Okay, we're ready to put the foam on the little platypus character here. I put a little bit in the neck here, and I realized that going up to the sides here, there's a bit of a limitation, so it's just stretching and kind of pulling free. So it's not very flexible. Excuse me, it doesn't stretch well. It's flexible, but it doesn't stretch well. So you got to keep that in mind. So this first piece I put in there, and we are using the barges all-purpose cement. This is the lesser toxic version, I believe. And so I'm liking these little kind of barber scissors as I'm going. So I'm just kind of flipping that out. There we go. That should free up a bit of moving here. So the front and back's fine, and side to side's fine in the middle here. You can see it's pulling on there. But yeah, you want this to be really flexible in some of these parts. And I also want to have something on the tail. You could just put a nice thick piece of aluminum foil over it and hot glue it, or glue it down with the contact. I'm going to use this little form wire mesh that's actually made for sculpting. So I'm just going to put it over the top. So I want the wire to be underneath, and I want the form mesh to be on top. So I'm going to just shape this around. And I'm actually doing this away from the wire just a little bit, leaving a little um, room for it to leave almost like a little hoop or movement space. And I'm going to crush it down nice and tight. There it goes. Just kind of folding it around. Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe, yeah, just go nice and tight around that edge. And around the back side here. And tuck this under. And I love this stuff. It's really fun. You can form it to your face and make a pretty awesome hyper realistic mask out of it. There we go. So that's his little platypus tail. So I handed out some of this material in class as well. So if you have ears, things like that, there we go. That's going to give it a nice full area in there. I'm not going to do that, I don't think, yet with the bills. Get the platypus duck bills or the web on the hands. I think I'm going to go ahead and use the epoxy sculpt for that. So let's cut up some of the foam though. So I have my pieces here ready to go. This is a 1-inch foam. So I'm going to start off with the torso in here. And it's pretty squishy, so I can make some pretty good estimations. Doesn't need to be perfect with the really, really flexible, squishy parts. So in between the torso over the belly, I am going to cut it straighter, so I want to have a more perpendicular cut, and saving any of these decent sized strips for sure. Those are usable, and they got some nice sharp. Any new cheapy scissors should cut through this stuff like butter. It's really fun stuff. So there we go. So that's good in the front, and then I'm just kind of looking at it from the front. On the side, I'm going to eyeball it. I could mark it, but I think that's going to be fine. So I'm going to go and do the front and back in this cut. So that's 1/2 and then half again. So all that planning and measuring, it's not out the window, that's for sure. But as you build this up, it's a little more sculptural. You can kind of get a feel for how you're doing it. I'm going to go ahead and, his tail keeps getting annoying. I'm going to flatten his tail down so you guys can see so a little bit so he's flatter. So he's going to go right in here, in the belly. Cut that in half. So there's one side, and there goes the other side. And whatever I'm doing here, I want to glue it so that it we'll glue to the armature wire as well. All right, so it's time to get our barges out. And if we need to, we can work a little extra careful, put down some newspaper, some butcher paper, whatever, when you're working with this stuff so you don't get it all over the place. All right, and I just got a variety. I ordered some different toothpicks online, different shapes. I mentioned like the flathead toothpicks are a little easier to work with, so you kind of decide if that's worth your time or not. Popsicle sticks still work fine. There we go. Some of that coming out. And just dab it on all around the armature wire. So that it definitely has a place to stay put on the front here. And if I wanted to stick up into the top here or the bottoms, I could as well, but I think I'm gonna put a little bit on there. Like I said, it's really spider webby and gooey, so I'm gonna get used to working with it. Really like it so far. Don't have much. I'm in a ventilated area here. I'm in my studio out back. We have a breeze blowing through, for better for worse. Indoor, outdoor, and all season studio. So there we go. Put that down. Whoops, I went too far off the sides. I remember it stopped right there. I could have cut it and it cut an angle out. So you pick the shapes you want to add. Um, at the time of the which pieces of foam you're using to build up. The stuff goes, yeah, it dries pretty fast. There's the strings going everywhere. There we go. So now I can move over here, and I'm gonna put some on this side here. It's gonna be the side from the back that sticks in there. It sucks right into the foam, so kind of trying to put a big glob on it because it'll really just go right into the foam. You want to spread it around, I think is a much better strategy. And then the top of this is going to go in the back, so only about halfway. It's going to be sticking out probably. There we go. Yeah, see it puddled right there. I put too big of a glob in one spot, so I didn't mean to do that. That was unintentional. Oh, there's Kitty, the outdoor kitty. He doesn't want to get on camera like the indoor kitties do. There we go. Okay, so there's my first cube. And do the next cube's going to go in the front for the belly. There we go. A pretty good sized glob. So this time when I spread it, I want to maybe kind of just barely touch and smear across to make sure I don't just do that big pool on the first touch of it. Also, perhaps I could get a wider, I just got on my, I could get a wider popsicle stick instead of this little spatula toothpick thingy. But I'm experimenting with different application methods with this stuff since this is still a bit new for me. Same thing, a little bit on the top, a little bit on the bottom, enough to contact there. And then last but not least, don't forget you want to use the air dryer. You want to make sure stuff is completely dry before you apply. There we go. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Set my little stick down, and I got my hair dryer handy. Hopefully everyone has their hair dryer handy. If a few of you are able to bring one of these to class, that would be very helpful. You got to hold on tight because it's super light and high, goes really fast. Just a few seconds on each side. It should be fine.
trying to not rip this on the skin. Swing gloves is tough sometimes, so it's not super. You have to just lift up. Too. And it's probably already dried out. Just get the armature and bones from the inside too. That's flying around. You're aiming it in a good spot.
There we go. Okay. So I forget which one's front or back. I don't think it really matters though. I can open up. Let's do the back first. And lay it down flat and press in. There we go. Ooh, bouncy. And a little piece for the front here, and he has like a little belly. And squish them together real good. There we go. You can see that I have a little gap going in there. It's all right. And if I want to press it down to the hip and up to the torso. So there's the first piece. And do some pieces for the arms. Want to make sure that um, they're equal pieces. You can kind of wrap these around. One, two. There we go. And you can give them really kind of chunky arms or not. You can also cut these in half and sandwich on both sides. You could take your X-Acto blade. Whoa, it just came right out, didn't it? And take an X-Acto blade also, and you could just kind of cut it open. All right, let's do some surgery here. Hold it one tight. There it goes. Yeah, wow, like butter. Do that. So you got to experiment for sure. See what works for you. And I'm peeling it open and then cutting a little more. See if it's relatively equal. So I could do that. Put that in like that. One arm. Do that tight. I think around the wrists a little snug. I want to leave a little bit more room around the shoulder, so I'm going to go down here at the wrist and cut that piece off. Take my other piece here, and I'll try the same technique. We'll see. To get the cut started, you kind of hold it firm. There it goes. And cut down. Nice. These are brand new X-Acto blades. I got a 10 pack of these from Amazon for I think it was $9. So if you don't have X-Acto blades handy and you're planning on doing crafty build fabrication type art, grab some X-Acto blades. It's good to have some extra lying around. Okay, make sure it's roughly halfway through, or at least past halfway, so I could have the option to go and stop short. There we go. Could also do it this way. This might make a little more sense. I can always add some more when we get into the rib cage here. So I think, yeah, maybe the arms would be a little thicker going the other direction. So remember, I just to this one is impromptu. I don't have a design in mind necessarily for this guy. So I'm making it up as I go. So I can have a pudgy, cute character. Let's see, I'm going to get the back end of this and press from behind, make sure that that is all coming forward. And while I'm working here, I got to be real careful. Work on my laptop here, so being conscious of that as well. Put the paper towel underneath it. And this one here, I think I can dab directly onto the wire a little bit more. Just kind of capture it there. and really work that around the whole thing. And I'm just coding the areas I am working on currently. I think that's probably the safest bet. I don't think you want to lather stuff all over the place and then run the risk of getting it, sticking to places you don't want it stuck to, or wasting where it's going to adhere. So I'm going to do one arm at a time. Go back in here, and if I think if it's going to close up on me and stick, maybe it is safer just to cut this whole thing in half to begin with, and that way I don't have to worry about it sticking to itself before I could get it on the sides of the wire, right? That makes sense. So again, edge, gonna run it down as I go. Hold it down, whoop, there it goes. Nice and firm. There we go. And then do the other side. Yeah, it really goes in there fast. I'm shocked. It just soaks in there. Now the other way of doing this we're going to try is with the liquid latex buildup and the bandages. So we will get to that eventually. First, we're going to do this big kind of pudgy character and then see how that works. All right, so I got the arm here. You go on high. So I'm blowing away from my work area, so don't blow stuff all over the place. Nice and dry. Everything down. One there. And provide the top out of that arm. Some bigger gloves. Remember I mentioned previous not to let it well up or bubble, so maybe some of those areas that's still a little too thick and puddly. If it's still puddly and there's pools of it and it's still wet, it's not going to adhere very well. So you want to take those parts out. So in the threads here, I noticed that there's some pulled up areas. So I'm just kind of picking through around just to be thorough. And leave all those again. Okay, a few seconds and let's give it a shot. Okay, move my little adhesive paper out of the way. Grab my fabric, go to the wrist, start press gently, nice and flat. So I want these to be nice and even. Grab the other half here and start on one side, make sure it's lined up nicely and even, and press and squeeze. Squeeze, 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 nice and strong. And hopefully that's not swiveling anywhere. Nope, it's pretty good. Okay, there's one arm. And if we want, we can start the trimming process early. Bring the arm out. You can definitely move them around at this point. And yeah, trim the foam. There you go, I might leave, yeah, It's definitely taper, so I'm gonna bring the arm out and back and taper it down a little more to the wrist. And trim any sharp edges away. Same thing underneath. And the arm back. Make sure that I can get a good trim angle and trim down to the wrist, get it away from the head. And now you'll see the advantage of what we did with the shoulder, of having that shoulder really be separated from the thorax, from the rib cage, right? Having this shoulder blade here, being able to move around so easily really helps a lot. So now if I know that's my shape ahead of time, I could have shaped that a little more before I put it on the arm, but it'll be okay for now. Inner to the wrist where it's a little sharp. We continue that. Okay. And little tiny scraps like this I don't anticipate using. So go straight to the garbage, basura. Let's grab the other arm. So this time, see, I went this way with it. And so knowing that there's my little cut in half. Knowing that I want that shape, I'm going to go ahead and maybe cut the shape ahead of time a little bit. Top and bottom of the wrist. There we go. And cut those edges off, round it out a little bit. There we go. So yeah, you might spend a few hours. It's like gardening, trimming the hedges, topiary, or cutting hair. Now these longer pieces of coffee, maybe these are more useful. I don't know. So maybe make a little baggie for yourself of leftover bone pieces. But yeah, there we go. There's the front and back. Um, Again, I don't think that I can glue this inner part, leave it open, and then wrap it around that wire very well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the whole thing in half using my X-Acto blade. So I'll just finish off that cut, spread it open a little bit, like that, and like butter should. There we go. Two halves, and bring these over. And see the tool is going to get sticky. Little dab will do ya. Watch out for hair and lint. By doing this. And if I got too much, I was going to finish off that corner. If I got too much, I'll just kind of hop over the other one as I'm going here. Wow. Little hairy strings all over the place. And try not to inhale. Old political joke. There we go. Yep, it's already getting pretty sticky. And see too big of a string of it coming out. I'll just kind of goop it over real quick. Yeah, there's an area I know I missed right here. So this is going to be uber strong. So I'll set these over to the side. Got my newspaper here too. Set these over here. Grab my arm and let's scoop it up. And maybe I won't go as aggressive as last time because it really pulled up there. I think I kind of wasted a little, so maybe do a little more spread evenly. There we go. Getting the wrist. Okay. Should be all right. How's this one doing over here? So, okay. And give it a good drying.
That's pretty darn strong so far.
Not too bad to work with. Just got to make sure you have a good area you can grab onto when you're doing this drawing.
You can see mixing everything the edges like dabbling in. But we're gonna wrap it too. So
Go. And we have the other side. Use a lot of power. All right. Over here and make sure we're nice and safe. So everything's set or it's not gonna get stuck to something else. And make sure we get it nice and centered. I think I ended up clipping some off of the wrist earlier, so I'll just kind of let that go there. And grab the other side and press sandwich the two sides together really good. I might let that, I didn't put any on the hand though. Kind of like that, but let's keep it the same on both sides. So maybe next time I could have let that foam run all the way down the arm into the hand, into the palm itself, the back of the hand and the palm. I think kind of like that, but all good. All right. So this time the arm's already kind of pre-shaped to what we want. Okay, you got the belly in there. Okay. The neck. See, we go over to the legs, and the legs are really wide, far apart. And so if I want something a little more shaped in there, I'm going to grab some of the EVA foam this time. And I'm going to cut some pieces for the upper leg and the lower leg. So yeah, it's a good start. Get whatever, smaller scissors are probably going to be easier for you to handle, like little cuticle scissors, whatever you got handy, I think will be fine. But yeah, a new cheapy pair of scissors is going to cut right through this like butter. Those the scissors in the shop are pretty beat up, been brutalized a little, so they're old jaggedy scissors, maybe not going to do as well on this. Yeah, that's looking okay. All right, so I got my razor knife out. And I'm going to cut some pieces here for the upper leg and the lower leg. Make sure I leave plenty of space for bending at the hip, the knee, and the ankle. Right, so should cut this piece here. And again, I'm just kind of eyeballing this piece here, one there, one over there, and when they come down to about that far, there we go. In front, one on back. Yep, yep. And clean that little edge off. So we'll do just a little bit of a V action, something like that. And just flip it over, match up the other side, cut that. That was in the garbage. So that'll be one upper thigh. Now remember, I could use the Magic Sculpt, right? But I'm just kind of experimenting with this to use the to keep him as lightweight as possible because he's a bigger puppet and he's bulky. So it's, those things are being taken into consideration, definitely, as I'm doing this. Let's see if I can get this out of one piece. Looks like I can. There we go. That side, go across here, cut the other, take one off, and cut there. There we go. I could have also cut a bevel on these. These are going to be very squarish, same as over there. I probably should be cutting bevels at this stage in the game. I'm teaching you guys that's a better technique, but all good for now. So pretty close. So at this one, I could just maybe, since it's the EVA foam, I could just kind of put some directly on the foam like that. Maybe I need a fresher toothpick. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah, I've used this a lot with the barges too. And yeah, it's so light. I got to be careful. I probably should not have put it on too at the same time because it does dry super fast. It could, there it goes. Yeah, oh yeah, big glob of it. I forgot about that. Let's see, one at a time, better. Definitely. Let's see what's on the back side. If a glob got in it, yeah, it did. Which you're gonna put some on there anyway, but now it's on my mat, and so I got to deal with that adhesive on my mat. So I use butcher paper at school. Don't put that on the school. It's nice new mats over at Cal State East Bay. There's a puddles we talked about. No puddles. No puddles. Okay, come over here, and we only want that far. So I could, dang, I'm getting it everywhere. I could have sharpied it, that spot, so I know where to start and where to finish. So let's let me slow it down just a bit and show you that. So let's see if I even have my Sharpie handy. And don't get goo on your computer. Okay, so I'll just take one of these little pieces and position where it's going to go there. Make sure that from here to here is where I'm putting the goo on to start. There we go. Probably can't really see that, but you get the idea. And back to my tube here. And get the arms out of the way again. And I should have another piece of newspaper handy. All my newspapers go. Yeah, let's protect the cutting mat a little better. Yeah. Even use the newspaper to wipe this up as wiping material. Just gonna get that off of my cutting mat. So I forget. Yeah, I'll just rub it off later after it dries. There it goes. Okay. So yeah, let's do the upper arm with the EVA foam. Cell phone. stuff we use for a lot of the cosplay, um, costume design, Comic-Con type stuff, Halloween. And yeah, it's globbing, so I just want to move those globs out of the thread, use the stick to really push any wet pooling areas around. There we go. Do the same thing. Face down a little bit. Do the back side. Make sure I remember where my marks are. The inside as well. The outside and the back. And it goes. Yep. All right. And let's heat them up with the dryer and get them nice and dry, and it should stick really well and give us a nice firm, kind of like what we did with this foam.
Checking again for any pools of glue in the threads or the ends of the wire as I go. So nice for and then it's my wires nice and straight too, so I've got like a little curl going on that back side. I'm gonna be careful.
As I go to even the legs up before locking them into the foam skeleton pieces. So make sure he stands up nice and straight. There we go. So one leg got a little shorter than the other. See, as it dries, it doesn't get in your skin too much. All these pieces here, let me just see. You can tell if they're dry or not. Yeah, they're dry. Okay, so I should have carved little channels in for the wire before I did this, so I'm going to kind of pay for that. You'll see. There's one, there's two, and just press really strong. There we go. Then make sure the other side's pretty even where we want it. There we go. Looks like I went in a little too much. I don't want to reposition these too much at all because it will peel it up and ruin the adhesion. And you pull it back off again. There we go. Press, press, press. There we go. So now we got that wire in there. It's going to kind of be pushing against the foam a bit more than we'd want. But that should be plenty of room for him to bend his legs all the way up and then all the way back again. Yeah, you can see it's a little strange bend, little crook in the leg there. Oh, well, let's see. If I want to keep it from bending in the lower leg as well, we'll do some smaller pieces down there. So let's go ahead and go for it. My EVA foam again. See how much I need. I don't need very much. I want them to have kneecaps still. This time I'm going to do a bevel. So I'm going to cut bevel this way, and I'm going to cut a bevel this way. And for all the cuts actually, and then if there's like a little sharp edge here, I could just kind of trim that off. The bevel will do a taper and it's going to stick much better that way. I mean, it's going to wrap better. It's going to make a rounder shape if you bevel it, right? So just like we trim the bevel on the edge of the vis foam, I want to pre-cut the bevel on the EVA foam. That's what I should have done before. I forgot. So going over here, like that. Okay, so there's one piece for the lower shin there. There we go. Put it in like that. Okay, and where's kind of a sharper taper at the end of the bevel, might as well cut that sharp piece off. There we go, there's one, and then flip it over. No, flip it over, that's right. And let's see, cut that piece off. Match up the front and the back. There we go. So it's a little taper towards the bottom, I think. We'll go like that. And do the same at the other side. There we go. And they don't have to be perfect, right? Their bones are covered, so no problem. This is just my way of doing it. And any little nabs, any little thin pieces hanging off, I cut them. Really careful not to cut my fingers when I do this. Knock on wood, knock on plastic. Razor knife cuts are the worst, so always be extra careful. Practice your elegance and deliverance. Here we go. All right, so I'm gonna put these upside down, and this time I'm going to actually carve a little channel inside. So I'm just going to make a little V inside. And I could use my Dremel tool as well to do this, but a little V cut with the X-Acto blade is pretty easy to do. And just going really slowly and carefully. It's the tip of this thing that's the most sharp. I've stabbed myself with that many, many times, I'll admit to. Nothing ever majorly bad, but yeah, there we go. Now it's gonna get in there much, much better, that little V channel. So score a little V in the inside and make sure your fingers are at a safe place as you do this. And sorry, I can't get my camera closer right now. It's as good as these ones get. There we go. Okay, a little V cut. Cut a little canal. Do the same with this one. Do a little V cut. You can see the plunge depth of the blade as you go, so you kind of just gauge how it's going. Should be all right. Go. All right, so a little score, a little opening that's just about the right size for the aluminum wire to go inside of. And I'm actually quite happy with how that turned out. I see that's going to be way better now than what we had before. So while I'm at it, I'll just go ahead and I'll bevel some of these edges now, which I should have done when I started. So I do want him to be a more rounded, plushier form. That's what I'm shooting for. So that's also one of the main sculptural techniques if you watch the digital sculpting. Having plane surface changes, having good bevels and angles, flat surfaces, plane changes is one of the key principles to good sculpture. Make sure all your base shapes have um, good surface change, good major forms before you worry about any detail. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, making sure core shapes. I mean, you can like saw, you see me sawing there. And be careful I don't throw away my good pieces. Process of doing this. There we go. Two more bevels to cut on the inside of the thigh. So we'll go here. Let's see, is it twisting on me? Not too bad. We'll see. See how this goes. As if you try pull, like these things are meant to be animated, not just yanked around like a action figure. So if you move them gently and deliberately, you're usually okay. There we go. I could get rid of the bubbles in there and there as well, but let's kind of use that. Let's see how the scissors do on this stuff. Yeah, pretty good. My new barber scissors, I'm all proud of them. Scissor technique, strong. There we go. Yeah, a little easier than wrestling with the X-Acto blade for the whole thing. All right, so I'll take my Sharpie and I'll be a little more careful this time to mark the top and the bottom and go to the back and do both sides. So top and bottom there, top and bottom here. Flip them over, make sure same position. Double check, triple check. There we go. Mark, mark, and go here. There we go. Mark, mark. All right. Drop our goo down. A little piece here. One, two, three, four of them. Make sure the debris is out of there. So they're doing okay. Thanks for watching. I'm having fun. Use my little toothpick for this. Let's see if I can get the flat end toothpick. Yeah, let me just dab that down in there with the toothpick. And I'm gonna just kind of press my hand on there and scoop it up. And really smear it around. Don't let it pool. Remember, don't let it pool in those cavities. It won't dry. It won't stick very well if it's wet. So the thinner, you got to learn the right amount for the little hairs like that. They won't let go. Probably because I have a fair amount of it on my tips of my fingers at this point. Unsuccessful. Yeah. See, if I had gloves on, they would just be sticking everywhere, and that's why it's like, I'll just kind of wipe this off later. I don't think it's that big of a deal. There we go. Beat it across the tops first, and then do the groove. So that way I know. I can do a big pull of it down in the groove in the first smear. And then carefully get rid of it. Ah, look at this. There's a string, like a spider web. Jeez, really strong one. Yeah, it's getting everywhere. And maybe some surgery is required. Maybe get your second toothpick involved. Try to not use my hands a little more, for the tips at least. That's two of them. Another bead. Hold it down with one toothpick. And there we go. Yeah, that's smarter. And there we go. Yeah, so get some toothpicks and popsicle sticks. Ah, man. And one more toothpick. Doesn't want to let go of that one either. This would be fun to put on. Struggle is real. We're going to let go. I'm going to get another spider web string hanging onto my body. There we go. All right, one more. There we go. It's a nice little glob. Maybe just hold it with like the tip. So I'm barely touching anything other than that little tip I got to pull out. And then, oops, I was beading up in the edges. So be careful of that too. There we go. And so yeah, so it's sticking just on that little tip. So maybe I can get to let go, barely touch it. Ah, let's leave it. It's flying everywhere. All right, so you seeing me struggle? It's probably a good thing. And now I can very carefully apply this on the things. And can apply those, and then we can put the softer foam around them as well. Do the other side, make sure the hands don't get stuck in any of these little pieces. Oh, there it goes. Finger caught on little foam pieces. But yeah, it'll keep it way lighter, and the stuff's strong. I just don't know, like in animating it for if you're animate a lot with the puppet, maybe this isn't gonna um, keep the joints true for very long. Maybe it'll come loose at the joints. I don't know. See, I haven't done that many hours in terms of the actual animation process, so I'm just pressing with my elbow here. Super high tech. There's a little piece on his thumb. I'm just leaving it for now. Making sure the top and the bottom area is got a little extra oomph on there. Mm, double checking the insides. Easy to forget to do a whole side of the wire. That's probably when, whoa, too much. It's probably when you'll make a boo-boo, is not getting all the way around as much as maybe you should have. Okay, so yeah, we're toothpicking it, so maybe the good news is maybe now it'll dry relatively fast, and maybe once it's dry, it's not as um, grabby. Right, yeah, let's see that, man, it's stuck, and I gotta be careful. See right there, it starts sticking to itself. That's dangerous. I gotta be careful with this stuff. All right, so those little pieces are probably dry. I don't want to blow them away, so let's make sure the contact adhesive for the lower leg is nice and dry and stuff, so I'm gonna put on the little blob there. But yeah, putting it on with the toothpick, I definitely um, that was better. I don't think it took really much longer, and it really let me see the globs better in the threads of the armature wire. Like I don't see, yeah, it really, there's a couple spots there, maybe a little in there. It's okay. Yeah, it's dry. Okay, let's stop there. Doing, let's be careful. Don't let this stuff get too crazy. Okay, start with the back on one side first and press. Nice and firm. Okay, there we go. It's in the groove. And grab the front half and sandwich. Squish, squish, squish. Nice and strong. It is strong, I tell you. Okay, and let's do the back of the other leg. This is my Little blue Sharpie marks there and there. And you see the bottom of it kind of pressed close a little bit, so I gotta be careful. Make sure it's nice and open. Wants to stick to the adhesive on my fingers. There we go. And press it into the groove, nice and strong. Grab the other piece and sandwich it. And there we go. Pinch, 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 squish, squish, squish. Pinch, pinch, pinch. You see it coming apart up here on the thigh a little bit because I didn't do the groove, right? So my mistake. Should have carved the channel. I did for the tail, right? I just carved little channels in there when we put the tail on. And looking at this, I probably get rid of some of these sharper angles up in here. And the thigh. Leave the inner part of the thigh for now. Maybe the top of the calf here. You might worry about getting adhesive on. You need good scissors. So like I said, just a new pair of throwaway scissors are fine. Okay. So I got the arms. I packed in the abdomen region there, and we got the upper and lower legs. Again, he's still wider than he is deep, but I'm going to add some more pieces on there as well for that, and we'll see you on the next video.